You'll never become a millionaire unless you understand this one concept. This is a statement that'll change the way you think about money. Today, we're talking about closing the gap between where you are now and where you want to be financially. It's not just about earning more, it's about solving bigger problems and creating value for others. Stick with me, because this can truly change your life. The performance gap. Picture this. You're here, and your goal is way over there. The space between is what I call the performance gap. This gap is what separates the average from the extraordinary. The ones who succeed are the ones who are obsessed with closing that gap as fast as they can. The typical path most people take looks like this: up and down, always struggling, never getting to the goal. But the person who becomes a millionaire takes a much more consistent path, like this: steady, reliable progress. It's not about avoiding obstacles, it's about learning how to overcome them faster and more effectively. My path. I wasn't born into wealth, I didn't have a fancy degree, and I didn't have a network of people to help me. Honestly, I wasn't particularly talented or smart. I started with nothing, but I had something most people don't: no plan B. I didn't have a fallback, so I pushed myself to close the performance gap quickly, and by my 20s, I had become a millionaire. Now, you might be asking, how did I do that? It wasn't some magic formula. It was a relentless focus on solving bigger problems. The more problems you solve, the more money you make, and the faster you close that performance gap. The money-making principle. Here's the golden rule. The amount of money you make is directly proportional to the value you provide. Put simply, the bigger the problems you can solve, the more money you'll make, and the faster you'll close that performance gap. The Venn diagram of life. Here's what I want you to do. Grab a piece of paper and draw a Venn diagram. In one circle, write down the things you love to do. This could be anything from playing video games to cooking to reading. For me, it was flying planes, raiding cars, and traveling. In the second circle, write down the things you're good at. These are your talents, your skills. For me, it was leading teams, building models, and carpentry. Now, in the third circle, write down things people will pay you a lot of money for. These are the services or products that are high value. For me, it was consulting, designing models, and building structures. These are things that solve problems for others in a big way. The trap. Most people fall into a trap when they're trying to figure out what they want to do. They pick a job based on passion alone, but when the money's not coming in, they end up hating what they once loved. Or they're good at something, so they make it their job, but they're working themselves to death and still not making enough money. And worst of all, some choose a job just because it pays well, but they end up miserable, which makes them even worse off. So how do you avoid that trap? Simple. Find something that falls into all three sections of the diagram. I call it the value zone. It's where passion, skill, and financial reward meet. Once you find that sweet spot, you'll know exactly what to do next. For me, I discovered my value zone early on by combining my passion for model helicopters, my skills in building models, and the fact that people were willing to pay for my advice. This combination allowed me to open multiple model shops, design my own brand, and sell my products globally. Choosing your path. Now that you know how to find your value zone, it's time to choose the right path. Let's say your goal is to make $1 million. Do you want assets or income? Ideally, you want both, right? Well, to do this, you're going to need two different vehicles, one to make money and the other to invest it. You need two vehicles for this journey. One is your active income, your motorbike. The other is your passive investment vehicle, your sidecar. And trust me, you need both to get where you want to be. The active vehicle. The first vehicle you need is your active income, the money you make while you're working. This should be your business, the one you're actively involved in.
You can choose between a product-based business, a service-based business, or even a content-based business like YouTube. But let me tell you why a service-based business is my favorite. A service-based business has low startup costs. You don't need a big initial investment, and you can operate it from anywhere, your laptop, even from your spare time. When you're starting with limited resources, it's smarter to go for something that generates cash without a large upfront investment. The passive vehicle. Once you've figured out how to make money actively, it's time to think about how to invest that money. This is where your passive income vehicle comes in. Think of investing like the sidecar on your motorbike. It's not your primary focus, but it helps you get to your destination faster. Investing isn't about quick riches. It's about making your money work for you while you're focusing on your active business. A smart way to invest is through ETFs or stock pies. You can invest in diversified portfolios like an S&P 500 ETF, which gives you exposure to 500 of the largest companies in the world, all with just one click. Why investing works. You might be thinking, but Mark, investing is risky. Sure, all investments come with risks, but if you look at the long-term trend, it's clear. The S&P 500, for example, has always bounced back from market downturns. If you stay in for the long haul, you're going to come out ahead. Focus on what matters. Here's a critical piece of advice. You don't need 7 income streams. In fact, chasing too many side hustles is a mistake. Focus on one and go all in. Your resources are limited: money, time, and energy. If you spread them too thin, you'll slow down your progress. When I first started building my business, I sacrificed a lot. My social life, my fitness, my time with family. Was it healthy? Probably not. But did it make me successful? Absolutely. The performance gap and excuses. There's a big difference between obstacles and excuses. Obstacles are real challenges you need to overcome. Excuses are things that hold you back. When I was growing up, I had dyslexia, no qualifications, and I was bullied by my boss. These were obstacles, but I never allowed them to be excuses. The compound effect. Here's why I'm a huge fan of the compound effect. Once you hit a certain point, like 100K, things start to accelerate. And it's not just about money, it's about knowledge too. The more you learn, the better decisions you make. Knowledge compounds just like money does. Think of it like building blocks. Each new piece of information is like adding another brick to your foundation. Keep learning, and you'll start seeing patterns that others miss. That's how you grow your wealth and your wisdom. Conclusion. To close the performance gap, you need to make sacrifices. You need to be willing to give up things that are distracting you from your goal. Focus, learn, and keep moving forward. And remember, if you're not willing to sacrifice for your dreams become the sacrifice. End. If you want to learn more about how to make your wealth go crazy after hitting 100K, check out the next video on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe and keep growing your wealth. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.